Sebi chief Madhabi Puri Buch and the market's regulator Sebi itself, they have vehemently denied the latest allegations leveled against them by Hindenburg. Remember, the US-based short seller Hindenburg has now cast aspersions on the integrity of Sebi chief Madhabi Puri Buch and her husband Dhaval Buch, and has accused them of owning stakes in offshore entities based in Mauritius and in Bermuda, which are allegedly linked to Gautam Adani's brother Vinod Adani. Now, Sebi has said that Buch made relevant disclosures, while the Adani group has hit out at the short sellers what they call malicious allegations. Meanwhile, the DEA, the Department of Economic Affairs Secretary, has said that the government has no further comments to make because both Sebi and its chief, Madhabi Puri Buch, have already given statements. Listen to what we got from the DEA Secretary.
Sebi has given a statement. Chairperson has also made a statement. I have nothing further to add on that.
So but in these cases?
As I said, that both of them have made the concerned person as well as the organization, regulator has made the statements, and there is nothing further to be added by the government.
So that's a word coming in from the Secretary of the Department of Economic Affairs. But yes, here in the studios of ET Now, we've been getting several takes, and several market experts have been weighing in on the impact this could likely have on market sentiment. In fact, earlier today, as part of an ongoing discussion, the editor-in-chief of ET Now, Nikunj, had this to say.
There's no substance really to what Hindenburg in this case is really trying to establish. You're trying to connect dots where you're not able to even connect it logically, and you're not really able to connect it legally. So I would say it's not even a storm in a teacup. This is something which is pure, conjecture, which does not hold any kind of an validity. The attempt here is very simple. You're trying to malign image of an individual and the image of an regulator. So this is something which is unlikely to have any impact first on the market. B, it will not it will not hold even in the in the court per se. So this is baseless, no substance to it. If one really looks at the chronology of events here, Saturday night Hindenburg came out with these allegations. Then came the first response from the chairperson, Ms. Buch. Then you had Adani, which came out with, again, dismissing everything. IFL 360, they gave details of the fund, that the transactions were done in 2017 and 18. It may just be a coincidence, but it's nothing to do when the current chairperson that time was not even the chairperson of Sebi. And after that, there's a detailed explanation which has come from Madhabi Puri Buch and her husband, really narrating that what their relationship, what IFL was, which year they invested, how they invested, what were the gains, and when the money was redeemed. So it's nothing to do with the Adani allegation. This is pure, baseless, based on no substance, complete conjecture, and we should just dismiss it.
So yes, indeed, as part of discussions that have taken place already, there is a notion that the allegations that have been leveled should be dismissed. What have the markets done today? Eventually, yes, the broader markets have even moved up. It does seem like they've shrugged them off, but let's discuss this about market reaction to the kind of news that came through over the weekend. And for this discussion, Vinit Bolinjkar is joining us. He's head of research at Ventura Securities, and he joins us along with Mr. JN Gupta, the Managing Director at Stakeholders Empowerment Services. Great to have you this evening, gentlemen. Mr. Bolinjkar, first, the Hindenburg report, now these added allegations, and this time bringing Sebi in the eye of a storm. How big a storm is it really in your understanding? Is there anything in the allegations that an investor should worry about?
It's nothing more than a storm in a teacup. And just look at it. If you read the Hindenburg newsletter, without going into the details, if you just go to the disclaimer, it mentions that Hindenburg has got short position in stocks, and this report, is issued when the perpetrator of the note has already taken a short position. So when you lead with a short position and you write and and you're trying to influence the market, you become a sort of a manipulator. And in this case, Hindenburg is front running its own report, to make a profit at the expense of the Indian markets. Now, and on top of that, a market manipulator is now trying to find issues of manipulation with dots of convenience without providing substantial proof against the regulator and the regulated entity itself.
Substantial amount of proof is not coming through over here. Already, the Supreme Court, Mr. Gupta, refused to hand over the Hindenburg Adani case investigation either to the CBI or to a special investigation team, an SIT. The court denied this. Sebi launched a probe, of course. Now they've brought in Sebi. In these latest allegations, Hindenburg is doing that. Do you see some sort of pattern over here from Hindenburg's side?
See, and I have been saying right from beginning, the issue is very simple, and as Mr. he and other panelists, Vinit has said, that there is an intention. Now, when I have intention to profit from something, then anybody who is reading the report should also keep the intention in mind and ensure that I do not become a party to furthering your intention. So, the issue is very simple. The investors, anybody who is reading the report should not take any cognizance of this. Having said that, again and again I am saying there is no substance in the report. All allegations are there. They are fact, but they are nothing.
Yes.
It is like this, that what is your name? And your name is Vikram Oza, so that is wrong. It is not a case.
But Sebi issued a show cause notice, Mr. Gupta, to Hindenburg for market regulation violations, profiting from short positions. Do you think this could be about Hindenburg trying to short sell, like Mr. Bolinjkar is also alluding to, or do you suspect there is something more sinister here?
See, I don't want to get into the same mode as Hindenburg is there, making allegations or something like this. So I will keep everything independent and let us analyze this report independently.
Fair enough.
All the points that have been mentioned in the report have been duly answered by Buch family, and I have seen them. And being a regulator myself, I do not find there is anything which needs any further probe. The only thing is this, that everything may not have come into the micro level in the press, but as they have said, that their life is like an open book. If some agency wants to get behind the numbers, go through all the documents, yes, they can go through all the documents. But in substance, there is nothing which will stick to Buch family.
Mr. Bolinjkar, I was recently talking about the resilience of the Indian markets, maneuvering their way on the rise that we've seen in recent times, the kind of bullish trends that we've seen. And the markets seem to have weathered many, many storms. What does today's market action suggest about the maturing of the Indian investor, so to speak, to digest news like this and hold back on knee-jerk reactions?
So, Hindenburg had a loss of credibility with their previous press release. The matter went to the court, the highest court in the country. Under the Supreme Court supervision, Sebi has performed their diligence and provided the report to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court has given the clean sheet to the Adani group. Now, this did not go down well with the Hindenburg, and they have tried to now attack the regulator and trying to tarnish India's image. So all these actions, the Indian market men have realized that is all a sham game. It's just a crony capitalism story where there are vested interests trying to break down our economy, which is geopolitically intertwined. And the investor should be credited for taking this in its stride and just moving on and saying ho hum with this report. And frankly speaking, without me volunteering, several people have said that this thing has to stop now. So that's the approach of investors to Hindenburg. And I think that once this thing is taken in our stride, I think even the Adanis will get a clean sheet. and there could be some major re-rating happening to the Adani stocks to add to the salt injuries that are inflicted on Hindenburg.
Fair enough. Mr. Gupta, you've served on the board of Sebi in the past. You've been an executive director there. Sebi this time, in terms of their approach to crisis management, they've asked investors on Sunday to remain calm, exercise due diligence before reacting to any such report. Do you think investors have heeded that advice? Is Sebi doing the role that it needs to?
No, can you come last line again? I couldn't follow
I was
it.
just wondering if you thought Sebi has been playing this right, weathering this storm, how to handle it. Has Sebi learned over the past how to handle storms like this one?
See, again, there is no pattern to storms. Every storm has a different thing. See, it is for the first time a outside agency has raised issues on the integrity of SEBI chairperson. So it is a different type of storm versus the storm which happened in 2023. So, and again, the issue is very simple, that you may have all the procedures into the system to protect the thing, but ultimately it comes to the behavior of the investors. The stock exchanges and every system is robust enough to take care of everything. But you, and as the definition says, the stock market are subject to risk. So SEBI cannot weather anything that it will ensure that the stock market will not follow. Having said that, all the time SEBI and everybody say that investors should always do their own research. They should not go on hearsay basis. And I always say that behavior of investor in India is really, really very irrational. And a simple example I give, when you go to vegetable market, you find that everybody is buying vegetable, pick each and every piece of vegetable, examine it, and then buy it. But when you buy the shares, you say, somebody said, I made 10% profit, so you say, oh, let me also buy that. At that time, we are careless. So issue is very simple, that unless until the investors become careful, they use their own wisdom, they do the research, and they rely on a reliable person, then only that thing will happen. If you do on a hearsay basis, you are always going to come to the grief.
Regulator has a role to play in watching the markets mature. Mr. Bolinjkar, in your opinion, is SEBI playing that part well?
See, SEBI has made Indian bourses one of the most safest and bulletproof to any foreseeable outcome that can happen, which is a risk factor. In fact, I think the government had initiated, or Mr. Modi on his own part had initiated a massive program to SEBI to build in measures to ensure that Indian markets remain robust, viable in the outcome of any uncertainty that can happen. And towards that end, SEBI has issued 300 circulars to tighten the systems and make it as efficient and as robust as possible. And credit must be given to SEBI that, today we've seen our market cap climb to above 5 trillion and become one of the largest exchanges in the world. And, we are doing T+0 settlements, which even the aspiring established exchanges in the world are yet to adopt.
Mr. Gupta, about Madhabi Puri Buch. She was appointed as SEBI chief in March 2022 after a 5-year stint as a whole-time member. The perception is that she is a tough, no-nonsense leader shaping India's capital markets. You, sir, have served as part of the board. How do you see her weathering this storm?
No, when an organization is there, it is not an individual alone. It is all the people who work there together contribute. A leader gives direction, but ultimately results cannot be attributed to a leader alone. So the market always, or the organization develops growth based on its leader, but support of the staff. So it will be very naive to say that all achievement in SEBI is because of Madhabi Buch or despite Madhabi Buch. Both ways it is wrong. It is a team effort and everybody contributes. Everybody has different pace of working. Yes, I can say about Madam Buch that she is a very result-oriented person.
Yes.
And she is a lady in hurry who wants to achieve maximum. Because what happens when you feel that there is some problem in the market and you want to correct this? And I will just say that Vinit was saying about the Indian stock market. I can say guaranteed that Indian stock market are most robust in the world, much better than US, UK as far as the margining system is concerned, risk management is concerned, and dissemination of information is concerned. When you trade a share, immediately a confirmation comes on the stock exchange that this trade has happened. That is
Yes.
one part.
Yes.
The second part is that we are much ahead of the world in the curve. 3 days back, there was a news item that UK is thinking of regulating ESG rating provider. And many of you would not know that in India, ESG rating provider regulations are in existence for more than a year.
Yes.
Similarly, nowhere in the world proxy advisors are regulated.
Sure.
In India, it has been regulated for last 9 years. So this is where we say we are ahead of the curve, and probably this is what people are not able to
So you're
guide.
saying that the ecosystem is quite robust, and you were talking about team effort as well. Mr. Bolinjkar, in passing, India's Economic Affairs Secretary, we were just listening to what he said. He said that the regulator and the concerned person have made a statement. The government has nothing further to add. How do you see investors reacting to the stance the government is taking on it? Is it important for the government to ensure they don't add any fuel to this controversy, as it were?
See, when the Supreme Court has given a clean chit, when the regulator and the Sebi chairperson in an individual capacity has given a point-by-point rebuttal, and even the other accused in the note, that is the Adani Group, as well as 361, have clarified each and every aspect of the transaction and rendered the Hindenburg report incompetent. There is nothing more for the government to add, and I would think that was a very mature response coming in from the government in wanting to say that this matter is over with and should be buried with by not adding fuel to the fire.
Buried or not. Now, the kind of moves that we've seen in the markets today do suggest that the markets have shrugged it off and we are all set to move on. How much further this lingers, if there is going to be any kind of backlash, all of that is going to be watched very closely, and we'll keep coming back to the experts for advice. Mr. Bolinjkar, Mr. Gupta, thank you very much for joining us with your perspective on this edition of India Tonight. Pleasure having you with us.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.